It's Wednesday, the 11th of May 2011, and I've just finished recording the last video for this new drum series which I've done. As you can tell, I'm in a different location for these videos. My parents moved house, so I haven't got anywhere else to drum. So I've come to Llandudno and I've rented a studio for a month. And it used to be an old Royal British Legion club. So yeah, this is where I've been recording all my videos. It's quite a big room to what I'm used to in the old tack room. And I just spent a month here doing all my videos. Right, for the first time I thought I'd do a tour of my drum kit and telling you what I use. The drums are a Drum Workshop Collector Series. The sizes are a 22-inch bass drum, a 12-inch top tom, and 14 and 16-inch floor toms. The snare drum is a Tama Star Classic Maple, 14-inch by 6.5. All the hardware I use is the Drum Workshop 9000 series. On the snare drum, I'm using the Remo Black X for the first time. I usually use Remo Emperor X's, but I just thought I'd fancy a change. For this series, on the toms, I've decided to go for Remo Coated Emperors, just to try and get a bit more of a warm sound. And for the bass drum, I'm using a Remo Powersonic head. For the cymbals, throughout this series, I've changed due to things cracking. The current setup, I'm using 14-inch A custom hi-hats, a 18-inch K dark medium thin crash, a 22-inch A custom ride, a 20-inch A custom crash, and an 18-inch HHX Zabian Chinese cymbal. Microphones, I'm using a Shure SM57 for the top mic. For the toms, I'm using AKG D440 Emotion microphones. For the bass drum, I'm using the AKG D112, and I've been very lucky to be able to borrow a Yamaha sub-kick off my friend Bryn, just to try and get that really, really low bottom end. For my overheads, I'm using Rode NT1A microphones. Whilst I've been recording here, I had quite a bad problem with echo and trying to make the drum sound right. So I've used these mirrors to try and reflect the sound a bit. I spoke to my friend Ben, and he recommended that you use reflective surfaces to try and make the sound bounce, and put stuff like cloth to try and dampen the room. The main problem I had was the bass drum actually. It was sounding really cloudy and wasn't really sounding punchy, so I've used mats and stuff like that to try and absorb the sound. To record all this on, I'm using my 17-inch MacBook Pro. I've had this for about 4 or 5 years, and it's still holding up very well. I'm using a Behringer 222 FX mixer. It's quite an entry level, but it does the job. Ideally, I'd like to replace this in the future. The drumsticks I've been using for this series have been the ProMark Benny Greb 5BG stick. It's very good. I really like the acorn tip on it. For my Muse tutorial, I've used the 11-inch ribbon crasher, and I've explained this in other videos before. It's just literally 4 pieces of metal, and it sounds like a trashy hi-hat. For my camera positions, this is basically camera position 1. I just like to have the view over the shoulder so you can see basically from my perspective what I'm doing, and I think it's quite good that if you show the hi-hat and the snare work, because obviously that's quite a dominant things you use in drumming, so that's camera position 1. For camera position 2, I'm using the Sony camera, and it's got a wide lens on it, a fisheye on it, just so you can see a bit more of the room. And then for my camera position 3, I'm using my new Canon camera, and that's just sort of showing the same position as camera 1 but from the other side, so when I'm doing stuff on the toms or using the ride cymbal and crash cymbal, it's just good to show that. I just think it's really good with when you're doing drum covers to try and show as many different angles, because obviously some people will learn better from certain angles and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the tour of the studio. I really hope you enjoy the new series. I just thought I'd go for a variation of songs and try different things. Thanks again for all your support. Cheers.